All right, so I've had my eyes on this for a while. It's the Motion Pro Rev 3. It has interchangeable cams depending on what you're looking for. The orange one's the one I'm going to be using. That's like a track cam. I think it gives it like a shorter throw as opposed to other ones. The only thing, I think there's separate kits, street and off-road, because I have all of these cams except for the gray, which is the off-road cam. So I don't know if they all come with this and then you get the street or dirt bike one off-road. I don't know, but I'm going with the orange cam. It's technically for an SF, I believe. The third gens have like a longer or shorter cable by like a little bit. This shouldn't matter. I've been waiting to see if they put one out for Gen 3s and they never did. I also asked if it'll work. They said they were going to see and get back to me, and I never heard anything. This was like a year ago, more or less. So I'm not too concerned about it. It's not a huge difference in length, so I'm hoping this works. The only thing I'm a little concerned about is it clearing a few of my other mods, but that's, you know, that's my setup specifically. So don't mind that. This is the slim controls. You got to swap out your stock ones. You know, this is where it actually like actually this doesn't affect it at all. This is completely separate, because on the one you have, on the stock one, the controls is where the throttle tube sits in, so this is completely separate. But you need this because it's going to be a little bit slimmer, obviously. I'm not going to have as much room, especially with all my other stuff. So you got to go with that. This is the housing right here, so it kind of goes up and over. It's going to sit more like this. And this is where the actual throttle tube goes in. Again, as you can see, it's separate. The controls aren't part of the assembly. It's totally separate assembly, so you do need that. So that's the housing. These are all your different cams. Again, there's street and off-road, it looks like. The orange one is street. I think the off-road kit replaces that with the gray one, which is off-road. I don't know the real difference, but that's a thing. This is your new throttle tube. The cam sits right in there. They have, if you could see, let me see. It's like a little, almost like a socket type of deal. And it will sit on those ridges right there when you choose your cam. So the only thing I don't like is that it's plastic. I mean, the stock one's plastic too. But I have a G2 ergonomics. It's billet aluminum, I'm pretty sure. It's aluminum for sure. And it's just stronger. You know, it'll hold up better in a crash or whatever. So I put that on my blue one just for safety's sake. To be honest, not to knock them, but I didn't notice a huge difference. I guess I did lose a little bit of throw, which is good. It was a little bit of a tighter throw, but not a significant difference. I'm hoping this is actually much more noticeable. You get new grips. I don't know if I'm going to go with them. I go with these grips. A little dirty. I've had them for a while. I just found them on Amazon. They're just little katana grips. I thought were kind of cool. But you get these if you want them. I don't think you have to use them though. And then your new cables. So like I was saying, like the housing kind of goes up and over. This goes in, and instead of going like around the back of it, kind of goes up. It'll be easier to show you once it's actually on. I think it looks a lot better. So yeah. So basically, I am gonna first work on depinning, or well, trying to depin the plug, I guess. Yeah, the plug. See if I can get that off and get this all wired up. I'm hoping it's pretty straightforward. This is not my strong point, so I'm gonna mess with that first, see if I can get that figured out, because putting all this together is relatively straightforward, at least for me. I'm more familiar with doing this than the electrical part. This is what's probably gonna drive me nuts. So I'm gonna get started on this, and then we'll get all this mounted up. All right, so the bike's like pre-stripped down. I got the headlight off. Then you want to get these plastics off. Now, I did already kind of have, like I said, it's already pre-taken apart. I'm jumping in on this after having all this off. The cables go through here. You just want to loosen them up, pop them out of this. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer for you. These little anchor pieces will sit in these. You want to pop them out. I think it's easier to get them out up here, and then from the throttle tubes I would do. I still have that assembled, so I can show you how to take those off. There's just going to be a little 8mm bolt here with the cover. Pop that off. Get these out, just adjust these screws so they're really loose. So again, pop them out, get that ready. And then also, like I said, obviously have the headlight off. Now what you're looking for is right here. So you're gonna follow this cable down, look up there, comes to this big thing here, and it's this plug, it looks like. Let me see if I can get this off. There we go. All right, so that's the plug. How many wires is this? 5 wires, I think. Yeah, it's 5 plugs. So I've depinned my Civic's wire harness before. I mean, it's all relatively the same idea. I do want to try to depin it, so I might try that. But worst comes to worst, I can just cut this. I can get the wiring diagram, and I can just solder the lines together and and do that and use this plug. But then at that point, I'm obviously making this whole thing useless. So I don't know. I'm going to figure all that out. I'm going to see if I can depin these and get that all situated. And then from there, it's just straight uninstall. This is going to be the biggest pain in the ass, to be honest with you. All right, to get these off, the controls, people call them the clamshells a lot. To get these off, there's 2 little screws, one right there, one down there will do. And then mine got all fucked up because I have a different brake switch. But these you just pull out. You'll see these going as little blade connectors. Just pull those out. Oh, you'll have this disconnected, and then these, there's nothing left. Just take these apart, and they'll come off in halves, and they'll just come right out. All right, so I bought this kit on Amazon. I bought this like separate. This is just one terminal tool I use for my Civic. I don't think it'll work on this. It might. So I bought this kit. It literally everything you see here was like 20 bucks. The problem I didn't really think about was nothing is labeled, and I have no clue what really goes to what. But I was just kind of going through it, and I think it was this one. One of these. You just want to get like a nice, sturdy, smaller one. And it's actually much easier to depin this than I thought. So if you look, what you're looking at, let me see. There's a little opening on the bottom of the terminal right here. So we're gonna go after this, the blue and yellow one on the top. So there's little openings on the bottom. So what you wanna do is you wanna first push the wire in. There's a little bit of play to it. You wanna kind of push it in. Then take the tool, go under it, and just kind of push up a little, and it'll come right out. So I took a few pictures and found a few diagrams so I know what wire goes where. Let me see. This one's gonna. This might not be the one I was originally using because these came out like no problem before. All right, this one's gonna kind of mess with me a little. But yeah, so I know exactly where these go. I might try to find these terminals. Let me try a different one. Just to make it a little bit cleaner, and that way I don't have to hack anything up, because I would rather not cut and solder and whatever. All right, so now I look like a liar. Anyway, I'm gonna get this one out. But yeah, so that's how you do it. Let me see, which way do these face? They face kind of like this. So you want to get your tool just under it, push in, push it up, and pull it out. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but it is a lot easier than I thought. Just take pictures so you know exactly where. You can use this little lock, a little connector lock as like a reference point. So you know that way you can put them back where they go. And like I said, you can either cut these off and solder them or butt connect them, whatever you want to do yourself. Or I'm going to try to find new terminals and put them on myself so I can leave these be. So it's a lot easier than I thought. I'll leave a link for this kit. Like I said, it kind of sucks because I don't really know what's what. You got to kind of know what you're looking for, and I don't, but it's useful. You know, I'm obviously putting use to it. There you go. Look at that. See, so now I have the plug, get some terminals, and make my own. All right, so I'm going to show you what I'm doing about this. So what I was going to do was get new terminals and then just splice them onto this, but in retrospect, I guess I should have done that. I thought this was going to be done a lot sooner. It's not been going so hot, kind of. So what I did was, I should have got this ready. I cut the ends off of the plug. First, I depinned it. I don't remember if I showed that or not, I'm sorry. So this is the plug right here. I depinned it and everything, so this was just loose, and then I ended up just cutting these off for the terminals. So what I'm going to do, there's actually a little bit extra wire. I forgot how much. I want to say like 3 to 5 inches of longer wire, so just keep that in mind. You might have to tuck a little bit more if you want to shorten it. I'm going to actually solder these onto this harness. Now, so I couldn't find anything with the 22. I'm pretty sure it's the same. This is really all I could find. Let me just make sure you can like read this. This was some dude, I think it was like on Reddit or the Honda Grom forum, where he showed the stock plug and the harness side and then what he put there. So looks like black and white was stock in the middle, right? I think, yeah. So then green and yellow was stock in the upper left, black in the bottom left, yellow and red in the bottom right, and then black and blue in the top right. I forgot which way he was looking at this. He was either looking at it with it this way or this way. I'll have to like double check. I'm pretty sure it was like this, or I should say this way or this way, because I know the lock is on the left. You can see it in the picture. So just check the plug and see what goes where. So for the middle one, he put the black wire The top left, he put the green brake light. Bottom left, he put the green brake light. Then on the bottom right, he put the yellow. And now where I was really confused is he put the white, gray, and the black and blue, it looks like, in the top right. So basically what I'm getting at is the stock harness had 5 plugs, 5 terminals going in the middle in each corner of these. This has 8 wires. Oh, and then he left the black and red just out completely, so I'll just tape that off. That sounded wrong to me. Not really wrong, but I don't know. Something didn't seem right about it. I didn't know if that was correct, because you got to remember, this isn't for a Grom. This is just a universal switch. So I asked my buddies at work, who they're much better electrical. They looked at it, they looked over the diagram, and my one buddy said that he would do exactly what he did. So with me having the terminals off, it really doesn't matter what wire I put where technically, but I'm going to try to match it up with this diagram just so it's a little bit easier to read, at least on my end. If you just put terminals on them, all you got to do is worry about what's in the corner, and obviously just match up which way you're going to be looking at the plug. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he was looking at it, I think from the back. I'm pretty sure. I do want to make sure. He actually mentioned he did it kind of in a weird way. I want to say the wires would go in this way, and this is how he was looking at it, but I do want to double check that. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to solder these on, get these, plug that in, and that should be everything for this. And then the black and red wire, like I said, is going to be left out, and I'm just going to tape that off, and so that way it doesn't touch anything. I don't know what it really does. Don't know. Don't like this stuff. But that's what I'm going to do, and if you're seeing this, it worked, so wish me luck. Alright, so this is all soldered up, heat shrink, all that. So, just so I can show you, I don't really like how this is. This is what I hope works. Again, if you're seeing this, then it worked. So, basically what I did, since I depinned it, you could technically put any terminal to any wire. The colors don't matter at that point, but just for the sake of me, making it a little more convenient for myself, because I have the directions in front of me, I put them all to the same part. You don't even have to really depin it if you do it this way. I was hoping to not have to, but whatever, either way. So when I'm looking at the plug, this little lock up here, I'm going to have up and to the left. So I'm looking at it. This is my angle right now. So that's how I'm going to be looking at it. So the first one, OEM, is a green and yellow to a green wire. So I'm going to put that in the top left. Bottom is a black OEM to a green harness. Bottom left. Middle is a black and white to a black, which is here. Then the bottom right is the, the red and yellow to a yellow harness. And then last but not least is the 3 wires, which is your blue, gray, and white to a black. So again, if you depin it, now I only did it that way. It was a little bit more work technically, I guess. You could just leave it just like this, cut the wires off. You don't have to depin it and then wire it up. It's just, it was easier for me to do with it all out. Like I said, I was hoping I can get these terminals. I didn't really want to wait. This was taking a little bit longer than I had expected it to, but regardless, it worked now. I might try to put a sleeve over this. I don't really like how some of these are a little longer than others. I noticed that the wires on the harness side are I think I measured 3 inches longer than OEM, something like that. So it's a little bit of tension on these. I'm not a huge fan of that, but not the end of the world. So now I'm going to plug this in. This should work. That should be all you got to do. I don't know if my bike's really set up to where I could test it, but I'll do my best. So I'll go mount it up now. Well, I still got to remove the other the other part. I'll go mount it up now, try to make sure everything's good before I move on anymore. Alright, so I'm going to assemble the whole thing and then just throw it on all as one piece. So you got the cables. It's all set up just like this out of the box. You got your little housing here, which has the 2 bolts in it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these are both in it. They are, what is this? 4mm, I guess, Allen head. 4 Allen, whatever it is. So, got the housing, then you get your tube, which I thought it was supposed to be blue or white. I think the blue's the Titan tube. I don't know if this is Titan. I don't really know how that works. I got this from Steady Garage. It looks like it depends on where you get it is what you get. I don't know. Every picture I saw was a little bit different. And this is separate. So this is the Motion Pro cable luber, and I also got Motion Pro cable lube. So we're gonna open this up because these don't come greased from factory, I guess you'd say. So I'm gonna take the lower half, put that on the cable. We want to take this little rubber piece that was inside, wrap that around, and then put that in there. Then take the top piece, and now you want to thread it on. I've got to go crazy. Now you got the little plunger here, so we're going to take this. If I can get the straw up. Let's get the little straw. Now you want to put it on in the plunger. Let me see if I can show you. There's a little hole right there. Let me see, where are you? So you want to try to get this and just spray. Alright, I actually found it a little bit easier to do it on this end because this has that little curve to it with the little, I don't know what you'd really call that, I guess other small housing piece, whatever. So if you do it from this end, actually it comes out a little bit better. Just make sure you actually use like your hands and just kind of get the ends over here because it doesn't really trickle down enough. But this is all lube now. Alright, so now the cables are all greased, you're going to choose your cam. I want to say the closer the holes are, the longer the throw, the farther they are, the shorter. I'm pretty sure, and I'm sure it describes it somewhere. But I know the orange one is the performance cam, I guess. So this is one a lot of people go with. This is one I'm going to go with. Take your throttle tube, and you'll see it's like hex edges. Same with this. Now there's one side where it slips in no problem. Let's see if I can show you. Slips in no problem. The other side, you got to kind of press it. That's the side you want. So you're going to put it in there, press it in place, so it's all good. Now we're going to, let's see, we're going to take these, and we're going to set this up. So the holes are going to go on the bottom. Kind of trail them down a little. Let's see. Press them up. It's going to look like that. Let's see if I can show you. So I got the lines. I remember the curve here is going to go straight up on the handlebars. So when you're holding it, like if you're looking right at it from the front, this is how it's going to look. So now with that, then we're going to take our housing, which this I guess kind of clicks together. Oh, that out the way. There you go. Now just get the bolts in, and this is all set. There you go. So now it's all set. Just make sure twist's all right. So now I'll go fish it through and mount it up on the bike as one piece. Alright, so for what it's worth, plugged it in, power on. The kill switch does work. It does turn over also. It didn't start. I don't know why. Could be because it's been sitting. I know I don't have the exhaust on it. Like this thing's kind of in pieces. I don't necessarily think the exhaust would stop that. I'm just mentioning I don't really know where I left off with all that. I was kind of hoping it can at least turn over really quick, but regardless, it definitely cranks. So, and the fuel pump does prime, so I know that. So I'm pretty sure it is good. I'm just gonna kind of, I'm just gonna go on assuming it works. I'll make sure, obviously, once it's more back together. regardless, it looks good. All right, so I got some light down here for you guys. Hopefully it's not like too blinding, but hopefully you could also see. So all I did was just snake it through. I'll show you more after I show you how I get this part done. But all I did was just snake it through and mock it up top by the handlebars. It depends on your setup. Again, I'll show you more after this. So for this part, you got to get it on the throttle body. Now what you want to do, grab the throttle and watch these two. So when I open the throttle, you see one goes in, one goes out. Then when I return it, see the opposite goes in and out. So when you pull the throttle, the one that goes in, that's what you're going to want on this lower one. That's for opening. So we're going to take it, put it in there. Exactly the same way. The one that pulls when you close the throttle, that's your return. So get them mocked up. Now, on another easy way to identify it, you have two nuts and then the little adjuster nut on top. You have two nuts on the opening part, on the open. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank, but on the actual pull of the throttle, you have two nuts. The return, you have one. So I will say, I don't know if I mentioned this one yet. I probably did a million times. Since I put the CJR ported one, I had issues with this. I had to like make a very awkward adjustment, but it did work. So I don't know. It's going to be different for everyone. So what I'm going to do is make a little bit of an opening, get that one out of the way, put this through, and then tighten it down just by hand for right now. I might have to put both down. That's good for right now. Then the return, same thing. Just make a little opening so you got the, not so much of a nut, but I guess the bigger nut we'll call it. Then the smaller, like actual nut lower. Put it down, tighten it by hand best you can. And then just kind of tighten it with your hands. They're both 10 mils. Just that way they don't fall out. And then the bracket will actually kind of hold this bottom nut so you can tighten this one. And then watch. So let me tighten this first. Should probably remember righty tighty lefty loosey. So let's just get a few turns on this. Just enough to hold it for right now so you can get an idea. It's going to take a little minute. So it's obviously not tight enough yet. But if you look on the return, there's some slack on it. Definitely has to be a little bit tighter. But there's also an upper adjustment. Now, again, I'm not like super great with this stuff. I make it work, but I do feel like there's a better way. So I'll show you at the end, because I noticed when I first mocked this up, I had it way adjusted on the return up top. I'm sure you could do it down here also, and I just wasn't doing it great. I mean, if anyone has any tips on that or wants to point out that I'm doing something wrong or I'm missing a part, feel free to let me know. But like I said, I do make it work. I did have this mocked up, very straightforward, and honestly felt really awesome. I'm actually very happy with it. I got it mostly for clearance reasons, but performance-wise, I'm actually very impressed with it. So we'll get to all that in a minute. Let me just tighten this up. And then once, obviously, we're happy with it, we don't have to mess with anything anymore, then we'll throw that cover back on. You got these little covers here. Those down there. Now, I feel like that is kind of tight. Like I said, I got to play with all the adjustments and see. But what you're looking for, so this is obviously nothing, not touching anything. So, all right, what I'm noticing here is that I hear the throttle body. When I pull the throttle all the way open, I don't know if you can hear that, but I hear it clicking. When I let go, I just hear it up top. I hear a slight click here, but I hear it banging up top more. So what that tells me is I'm holding the throttle open. So now I have to go back and pop this off, and I think it's going to come back to what I kind of first mentioned in the first place with this, was what I had to do when I first put on this throttle body. and that was put both nuts lower. Let me pull this cover back up. This is how I put them. I don't know if you can really see. I'll bring you a little bit closer. So I put it in like this. I'm going to bring them up a little bit, but both nuts were down low. That's the only way I can get it to adjust before. Again, it's because of the throttle body, I guess. It's not exactly a problem as far as I could tell. It's just something I went through when I did this. So I'm going to put this in here. I don't want to bore you with watching me turn a nut a bunch of times, but I'm going to get this set up, tighten down just like I did, and then I'll show you once I'm done what I'm looking for to like verify that it's set up correctly. All right, so two things to note here. It is figured out. I do notice that this is very low. It doesn't look like it's actually hitting the little, doesn't look like it's actually hitting anything or dragging. I'm not too concerned about it, but that is something that I noticed. Again, I think it's because of my throttle body or whatever the case may be, but it works. So I don't hear any banging up by the throttle tube, but if you listen, that's open, and then so you can hear the throttle open and click when I'm at full wide open throttle, and then when I snap it closed, it snaps shut really aggressively, and you hear it shut. You don't hear any banging up at the throttle tube. You hear it all at the throttle body. That's what you're looking for. So this is how I have it routed. I might go over that a little bit more in a minute, but so this is what I'm talking about. So these are where you adjust it up top. Let me see. So what you want to do is you want to loosen this, and then we'll back this up a little. So, I should have made this more clear, but if you look at my return, open, see how much slack I got? Like, that's not good at all. Like, it feels decent. You know, I wouldn't really notice it too much up top. But this, I'm going to loosen it. I'm going to back it up. Honestly, a lot. This, again, this is what I'm saying. If you guys know anything that I might be doing wrong, let me know. See, it looks better already, but still a little slackish. I actually might mess with the other one, see if I can back this up a little bit, because I don't like it being that close. Still a little loose, but I'm just gonna play with the adjustments a little bit, but definitely a lot better. Feels much better. And then so just to kind of go over, literally all I did was just kind of snake it through the way I was showing. Just kind of go here through all those holders. And then it's just a matter of what your setup is. I have a lot going on. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this gauge. I at first had it going this way, like this, where it has that little 90. I had it kind of going this way. That was all right. Ultimately, I ended up taking my mirror off, tilting my whole master cylinder and lever setup forward some, and then putting the mirror back on. And I kind of have this running through, and I like that a little bit better. One thing to be aware of when you're sitting, so it's kind of blocking my my gear, which not the end of the world, but it is kind of annoying. So I might try to see if I could tuck it away. You just don't want too much, like, you don't want to fuck with it up here too much. You kind of want it to be out of the way, but you don't want to like have any harsh like I guess angles with it. You kind of want it to flow nicely. This just looks wrong to me. But like I said, I've been having weird throttle body issues ever since I put that throttle body on. So I'm going to kind of say it's that, but it does work. So again, just play with the adjustments. I'm going to play with it up here and at the throttle body itself, see if I can get it set up a little bit better. But ultimately, I do like it. You know, just tighten everything down, obviously. This goes right on. I plugged it in. The way I had it wired up worked perfectly. I tried it. I started it. Everything had no problems. It's I thought this was a little weird. You click it out and it engages. When you click it in, it disengages. That's the kill switch on. So kind of feels backwards, but no complaints. But yeah, like I said, just matters what your setup is. Snake it through and then just play with the adjustments. But ultimately, I really like it, and it does work, even though it is technically for an SF. So hopefully this helps someone out. Hopefully I'll leave a link for it and everything. All the tools that I use and like the lubricant and everything from Motion Pro, I'll leave a link for all that. And I would say I'm just going to play with this, and I'll update you guys with anything else that I find with it. All right, thank you. See you. Alright, so I don't know how I'm editing this in. I don't know if I'm redoing the whole end or if I'm cutting or anything. This is kind of like last minute. So it's the next day. Right after I finished recording the end of this, I kind of just played with the adjustments a bit. I mean, for what it's worth, this is what mine look. Let me see if I can get out of your way. This is what mine look like. I'm not saying you're going to copy this entirely. Still, I don't like how backed off this is. I actually wanted to back it all the way off. Like, this is the little lock nut. I don't know if I fully showed you this or not. That's the little lock nut. Then you spin this one. What about this? You spin this back piece tight, loose, and whatever to adjust. When you loosen this, you tighten up by the throttle. So yeah, if anyone has any suggestions, because I can't see how to adjust it at the throttle body for the return. For this one, I can't. So the main reason why I'm redoing this part is because I was playing around with the adjustment. I had it way down, as you can see now. The like bolt part of it. Let me see. I want to make sure you can see this. The bolt part of it, and it's here now. It was like practically touching the wheel. So what I did, and you can see the nut is actually, there's one above and below the bracket, which before I think I had them both below. Yeah, I think they were both below the bracket. So I actually played with it a little bit up here, adjusted it up here, so I was able to bring the nuts down over there. So you just got to play with the adjustments. It depends on where you're at. Like I said, this is how mine look. Yours isn't going to be exactly the same, but something to go off of. The return, I really only see how to adjust up here, which it works. I'll see if I could show you. Oh, let me see. It's a little tight. Yeah. So if you look, when I open it, it might only be like when I snap it. I mean, it looks alright. It looks like it's got a little bit of play to it. Like, I don't really like that. As opposed to this one, it's much tighter. I just don't have much more adjustment. You know, you only have this part right here, which doesn't move. It just spins the nut there. I feel like there should be a second nut on this, but both this and the stock one don't. There's probably a way to adjust it that I just don't know. So, like I said, if you know some way, let me know. But it does work. It works fine. I'm not concerned about it. The only other thing you're going to have to do is these little blade connectors. So, mine's different. I put these on. The one fell off. They're cheap little connectors I had. I want to fix that up. You just put them in here. I don't think it really matters which way. Just double check your brake lights. That's what it is. It's for your handbrake. So just check that they work. But I think it doesn't matter as long as you get these in here. Then you're good to go. Other than that, that's everything. It definitely feels a lot better. I didn't expect it to feel much better, to be honest with you. The throw is, I guess it has a shorter throw. It's hard to say. I did want to measure, but I just didn't get around to actually measuring what the stock one was like. I could measure off my other one, but that's the G2 Ergonomics, which I think has a shorter throw, kind of. I mean, I can still compare just for the sake of comparing. But it does feel a lot better. It has like more of a, I guess, tight feel, like not in a bad way. You're going to have to mess around with all this, like I think I mentioned. I might actually push this forward a little bit to have this come a little bit straighter. The wires are kind of possibly going to be in your way. I did manage to get them out a little bit, so from my point of view. So now I can see it a little bit better, which, you know, like I said, it's not the end of the world. It is what it is. But yeah, much better mod than I expected. I like it a lot more. It feels a lot better. Just make sure, big thing, make sure you hear the throttle body open and close. If you hear it up here, then your throttle body's staying open. Possibly not closing all the way. Maybe it's not returning all the way, but you want to hear it both at the throttle body. That's the biggest thing. I can't stress that enough. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully this helps someone out, and I'll see you in the next one.